Okay, as we know, at this point, everybody who comes forward who has signed up to speak will be allotted 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes for comment. The subject matter of public comment must be limited to matters of public concern, and the board chair may terminate a speaker's comments at any point at his or her discretion if the comments don't reasonably focus on matters of public concern. The board chair is responsible for maintaining a respectful environment during public participation so that public comments can be heard and considered by the board. The chair, therefore, may interrupt or terminate any individual's speaking privilege if the speaker's comments are excessively loud, disruptive, obscene, or otherwise in violation of applicable law. Further, an individual may be cautioned that a personally directed statement may be slanderous or defaming, and the individual may be legally liable for that statement. Board members, the public should know that board members do understand that public participation at board meetings is intended to allow individual members of the public to address the board on issues of public concern, and is not intended as a forum for extended conversation with the public or as a platform for board members to discuss their positions on topics. Okay. Diamond Jones.
Next speaker.
Jenia Jones.
Next speaker.
Iman Brown.
Do we have sound on that? Do we have sound on that microphone? It's on, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon. My name is Iman Brown. I'm a student at Barringer High School.
Speak a little bit louder, Mr. Brown, so we can hear you.
Needs to get it higher.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm a student at Barringer High School. The administration at Barringer High School has violated my First Amendment, freedom of speech. Also, my Fourth Amendment fights unreasonable search and seizures. On last Tuesday, when the administration began shakedown students at the door for their cell phones, I spoke with an administrator saying to him that he was in violation of the district policy/contract. He told me that he didn't want to hear my views on the policy, and if I continued to question him on them, he would put me out the building. The administration at Barringer has taken it upon themselves to edit the district cell phone policy. The district policy does not state that we be harassed, intimidated, and bullied when entering the building. In fact, on page 91 of the district policies outlines the student's responsibility of the cell phone contract. Also, on page 72 of the district policy does not warranty security guards to do a full body search on students unless the administration detect suspicions of behavior. I would appreciate if the administrator takes the focus off of me because there's so many more important problems like safety, 12th grade students who don't have enough credits to graduate. If you think about it, it's time to get serious. You know, everybody wants to be a leader inside of my school. Administrator ain't doing what they got to do. You sending these people here to do a job. They think they're doing a job, but they're not doing a job. So y'all need to get it together and talk to them because our principal is under no guidance. She has no idea what's going on. She's making up new rules against your policy. That's written. And when we ask her questions, she can't state us what the policy says because she don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. As we always do, all of these complaints go to the district. We'll make sure the district responds in writing to you, Mr. Brown. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Adea Austin.
Next speaker.
Ronnie Kellum.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Kellum. I'm a student president of Malcolm X Shabazz High School, student leadership advocate, youth medium symposium advocate. I live at 142, 144 Haddon Terrace, Newark, New Jersey. We go to Malcolm X Shabazz High School. To piggyback off what the young man just said, the district policy says that no student shall have a camera phone and a video camera phone. Well, all students in the Newark Public High School are in violation of that district policy. Because as you know, new technology comes out. We as kids attract to new technology. So we have Blackberries, we have Sidekicks, we have G4 phones, we have iPods that has cameras, that has video camcorders on there, and we bring those to school. Now, we're not supposed to bring that to school, but the district policy says that a student should not have a camera or non-video phone. Now, in some cases, it may be good. In some cases, it may be bad. The reason why I say it's bad, it causes a lot of fights. It causes a lot of misbehavior. The reason why it's good, we can catch people in our schools that's not doing what they're supposed to do. We can catch these individuals with our phones. So I'm making a motion to the chair to have a restructuring committee for the school district policy of cell phones, because we really need to change this, because a lot of kids are having problems with these cell phones going into these high schools, and it's really bothering not only myself but other students who go into these high schools too, because as me, I'm outspoken. Most kids at high schools are not as outspoken as me, so we really need to get that together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kellum. I think we'll ask Suliat, our student representative. She can work with you and other student leaders to figure out, the student perspective on those issues. And if the board policy needs to be revisited based upon what Suliat brings, then we'll evaluate that at that time. But thank you, Mr. Kellum. Next speaker.
Kyla Gonzalez.
Next speaker.
Aisha Rivera.
Next speaker.
Ramon Melendez.
Next speaker.
Alonzo Hamlet.
Next speaker.
Carmen Ruiz.
Good evening. Carmen Ruiz, 555 Mount Prospect Avenue. Before I left Barringer, there was, in 2008, there was 2,000 students. As of today, is 1,200. I want to know where those students are. Are they being pushed out, or is Barringer a factory of push-out factory? Because I do have one right here, Jose, who was expelled. He's an SN student. He cannot be expelled out of the school. The mother did not speak the language, and they made him sign some papers that she was not even aware what she was signed. He was expelled from the school. Also, other students were expelled, but I was able to place them back with the help of Mr. Leon. Every time they expel a child, I call him, and he's always very, very supported. On behalf of the Puerto Rican community and the Hispanic, I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Leon and congratulate him. Also, we demand an investigation where those students, I would like to do home visit to all those students that are missing from the school. Are they being pushed out, or what's happening with those kids? Also, Barringer enrollment is 72 Hispanic students. We need to find out why the administration cannot communicate with the parents. They're not speaking English, and also the new arrivals from different countries. We need to find out why. We demand an investigation why you didn't place someone who speaks Spanish within the administration. Vice principal, they don't speak the language, neither the principal. I need to know this injustice, very insensitive, using discriminatory practices has to stop. We part of this community, and we need to be served like everyone else. Barringer was not included with the program for reform. It was Central, Shabazz, Westside, all of the others. Why Barringer was not included? Who made that decision? In 2008, I received $250,000 from Magnetic Doors. Where are the money? Where are the doors? No Magnetic Doors at Barringer High School. Where is the money? We would like an investigation. These board members can do many constructive things for this board, in behalf of the students to improve education. Please don't use this position for your political advancement, because guess what? We have 36,000 Puerto Ricans in the North Ward, and 12,000 of them come out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Ruiz. Next speaker.
Maureen Robinson.
Good evening. This mic is not working.
Is there audio? Is there audio on her mic?
It's not working.
Someone could take a look at that mic on the right-hand side would be great. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maureen Robinson, and I live in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I am the building rep for Westside High School. For the past 2 years, I have been lamenting to you for additional security and for a principal at the NAF Academy, just as Barringer Academy has its own principal. Recently, there have been allegations regarding a female special education student being raped, gang-style, during normal school hours. A few years ago, the district mandated that schools implement school leadership councils. One of the duties of a school leadership council is to interview potential administrators. For some reason or another, it appears that the district has rendered SLCs defunct because we have 4 interim administrators who have been assigned to Westside High School, yet neither of them has been interviewed by our school leadership council, nor has any interviews been scheduled for them. In conclusion, I still have a staff member who the district has treated unfairly for the past several years. He was promised a position as an elementary Spanish teacher as soon as an opening came available, if he would agree to accept the temporary position at Westside High School. That was 5 years ago. I would like for you to look into that for me, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Chair.
Robinson. Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Robinson, I want to thank you for always calling me, keep me up to breast on the things that's going on.
Yes.
I met with the senator a few days ago, and I also met with the councilman in the West Ward.
Okay.
And that's one of the issues that we talked about. If Barringer could have a principal at their 9th grade academy, what about West Ward? We need one too.
Exactly.
And that's one of the issues that I will be addressing with the administration about. I've been asking for this for the last 2 years. What about Little West Ward? What about the Wild Wild West? We need the same privileges that anybody else have. So I want to thank you for addressing that, because that's one thing that me and the senator and the councilman and the freeholder Johnson talked about.
I appreciate that, because you're one of the advisory board members who do respond to various issues, and you need to know that the staff morale over there is very low. I'm the board rep for Westside. People call me, okay, with their issues, and there's very low morale. So I wish you would look into that, and it's not fair. We need our principal full time. Thank you for your concern.
You know, one thing I will say, Ms. Robinson, and it's important for the members of the public to know as well, on personnel matters, the board is limited in terms of, there are things we can do, and then to the extent we can do things, there are things we cannot say publicly about personnel matters,
Yes.
which will violate certain ethical rules. But with that said, Ms. White, can you just say something quickly about the SLC process vis-a-vis Westside? I mean, obviously we can't talk about individual people,
Okay.
but at least the process, I mean, it'd be nice to provide a little context for that. Ms.
Okay,
White.
thank you.
Yes, we have just updated our new guidelines for the School Leadership Council. that was voted before the board several months ago. So the School Leadership Council should be in full operation with all the rules and responsibilities therein. So please send that message back. If you need a copy of the guidelines, Ms. Louisa Wibbins would be more than happy. She's right behind you. Louisa? More than happy, or Nancy Deering, the ombudsman, will be more than happy to review those with you, yes, and give you some copies to take back to your school.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, and Dr. Miller, if you can,
I'd like to,
I know you want to say something.
I'd like to clarify why there are interim leaders around the district at this point in time, and a number of them are department chairs, for example. The reason that they are interim is simply because they did not have a SLC interview. And the reason for that was because the terms of the SLCs were up at the end of last school year, and then they had to be put together again for the fall, new SLCs. But we had to appoint DCs before that. And because they were not able to have SLC interviews, they are interim until they do.
Okay, thank you.
Will there
Thank
be
you.
interviews
Thank you,
held?
Ms. Robinson.
Yeah.
Ms. Robinson, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Mark Knight.
Next speaker.
Kyle Rivers.
Next speaker.
Lyndon Brown.
Good evening. Lyndon Brown, President of PTA at Thurston Avenue School. I came before this board in September. I've been calling Dr. Janey for the past 8 months, no responses. We don't have any textbooks in our elementary schools. I've spoken about that repeatedly. We've been working with kids, and they don't even have, half the teachers in the district don't have science manuals. The power school system in Newark Public Schools is not working. Parents are getting report cards with children's names printed out that are not theirs. Parents are reprimanding their children for poor grades, no homework, when in fact it's the power school system or either the input that's really, really messing these report cards up. The font on the primary grade report cards is like a size 6 or 7. It needs to be revised, and the conversion is not there. I've spoken to you about that before. When a parent gets a report card in the primary grades, it says, it doesn't say A, B, or C, or 100, or 90, or 80%. It says evident, developing, emerging. And the parents don't know what that equates to as far as the letter grade. And when their children get to the 3rd grade, when those report cards letters change, the children are getting straight S because the parents thought that they were doing well in 1st, 2nd, and kindergarten. So we need to change the report card, or at least put a conversion sheet in there with those report cards. February 10th is coming up. There are a lot of teachers who are retiring mid-year. This board needs to do some proposals that the teachers mandate to retire in June, not December, January. Testing is coming up, and a lot of our students have had 5 and 10 subs since September. We need to stop these mid-year retirements, and teachers need to retire in June like other districts do.
Yeah.
Parents need to know when timely, in time fashion, when there are early dismissals, when there are school closings. Our phone messenger systems are not being used in every school, and they need to be, especially for parent meetings. I am very pleased to see that a majority of our school board members are out tonight, but you are elected. We need to see you in our schools more often so that you will have a pulse on the community and what's going on in our individual schools. And finally, I want to talk about the district's appointments of administrators and department chairs and literacy coaches in our schools. You're appointing people who have no experience. They get tenure, and then the next thing you know, they're a vice principal or principal in our schools, and in failing schools at that. It needs to stop. There are people who have been vice principals and longtime veterans for years, many, many years, and you look past those people who've been working tirelessly for 20 and 30 years, and you make someone a vice principal who's only been tenured a year or so. It's ridiculous, and it causes dissension in the district, and it causes disrespect for this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. White, can someone from the district follow Mr. Brown? Because I know Mr. Brown is one of the better parent leaders we've ever had, to be honest, in the city. So can someone file with him and have these and have a conversation with him about these issues?
Yes, thank you. Probably we'll follow up through our Deputy Chief Academic Officer.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. White. I'm sorry, do you want to? For board members. Matt, for board members? Yeah, no, no, we can visit, we'll deal with this. I mean, we can visit schools whenever we want. I mean, that's not.
Okay.
And we have, even myself have frankly visited Mr. Brown and some of the parents in terms of those issues going on there. So, Ms. White, we look forward to your report back to the board on those issues Mr. Brown raised. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next speaker.
Stephen Lewis.
Next speaker.
Belinda Jackson.
Next speaker.
Minister Van Ness Roper.
Next speaker.
Wilhelmina Holder.
Good evening, Wilhelmina Holder, grandmother now, so I really have to start paying attention. First, I want to say, Dr. Janey, would you stand up? Where is he? All right. I want to say to our board members as well, and to the community, what we have done to ourselves is criminal. We have double-minded elected officials, double-minded advisory board members, double-minded community members who do not really support my grandchildren and the children in the community. If the question isn't answered and asked, if it's not good for the children, then what? Then we're playing games. I'm going to ask some of the board members who have not been present, such as Ms. Romero, who is here part-time today, and Mr. Lamort to step down. They have the most spotty attendance. Ms. Romero has been absent over 80% of the time. There can be no deals for Mr. Lamort to be here every second or third board meeting. He must be here every meeting. This is his responsibility, Mr. Chair, and you have a responsibility as chair to hold him accountable. We cannot hold the community accountable until we hold ourselves accountable. The other issue is if you are a board member and you are leaving, not running again, then I think you should not serve on the selection committee for the superintendent, because we're going to be left here with any decision, poor or good, that you make. So you should not be part of the process if you are not rerunning or if you're not going to be here past April. So I ask the chair to consider only active board members to be on that committee. Now, the other piece is the community piece. We haven't heard a lot about that piece. And I'm going to say that I do not think that the advisory board represents the entire community. You are only one portion, one faction of the community. We have stakeholders, teachers, principals, grandparents, parents, students. They should all be part of that selection committee. And I don't care what the governor told you or the mayor. You are not to sign off on the community's voice. Our voice is powerful, it is important. The one thing we learned from Brockton, Massachusetts example, and they were here last Saturday, is what doesn't get monitored doesn't get done. And they worked from the inside, and they brought that school up to #1. They're competing beyond Cambridge now. And their school looked like a lot like Weequahic and Westside, but they worked together. They didn't work behind closed doors. They didn't work to make secret deals. They didn't work for job enhancements. They worked for the good of the students. And they stayed focused, focused, and focused. You can cut the mic off.
Ms. Holder. Ms. Holder, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you very much for your comments. We greatly appreciate that. I mean, what I can say is ultimately we're a state takeover district. And what that means is the commissioner for the state of New Jersey makes the decisions that affect our kids. We're advisory. I personally think that's very offensive to the people of Newark, that we're advisory, but that's the nature of what we are. So we can make recommendations, we can advise, but we have the state of New Jersey and the governor and the commissioner who are driving these things, and we've made all kinds of recommendations about who should be in this process, what stakeholders should be included. And the state and the commissioner, they're making the decisions that they think are right, and they need to be held accountable for that. I mean, there's no question about that. So we're trying to navigate in very difficult times. We're trying to navigate with a governor who's very clear and direct about the things he wants, about the things he doesn't want. That's part of the reason that in November and December we were so emphatic about the QSAC process, which is unfolding right now, and trying to return local control to you so that the people you elect make the decisions that affect our kids. We're not there yet, so we have a lot of work to do. And because we're not there yet, we're in very difficult circumstances trying to navigate with folks who I'm not sure fully appreciate the fact that we will never provide our kids the education they deserve until they convince the folks in this room, the folks in this community, that any particular way in which you want to go about it has to be rooted in the values of the people. So these are very difficult times. We're doing the best we can in these times. And ultimately, as a community, we need to come together around local control, around the fact that the parents, community members of this city need to drive the decisions that affect our kids. Until we get local control, we're going to be stuck in this context where we have to navigate through the politics of Trenton in terms of what should happen with our young people. So thank you, Ms. Holder, for your comments. Thank you, as always, for your service. Next speaker.
Donald Jackson.
Next speaker. Next speaker.
Excuse me.
Next speaker.
Veronica Williamson.
Next speaker.
Donna Jackson.
I'm sorry, Ms. Williamson. Ms.
Oh, I'm
Williamson
sorry.
is here. Ms. Williamson is here.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Just pretty much want to piggyback on what Iman came up earlier to say about his freedom of speech and his right to enter his school building and not be harassed, intimidated, or bullied. You know, I'm trying to have a good year, but the administrator at Barringer High School needs to understand they need to be visible. They need to come out of the office. They need to move around. The kids need to know who they are. The parents need to know who they are. They need to leave outside the building as well. Also, the administrative staff need training and or review of the district's policy before they can just make or edit changes to the district's policies and contracts. Because those policies and contracts, they're put together by the district as well as the community and parents as well. Just on record, at any time, I need to know, can an administrator change or edit any district policy? I just need to know that for myself. I question the VP role at Barringer High School because before becoming a VP, he was a crisis teacher. This VP posted this flyer on last week and sent it home with Iman. No electronic devices are allowed in the school, and his name and position is at the bottom. Clearly, you know, as Iman said, they violated the district's cell phone policy. They violated the search and seizure because when the kids were coming into the school building, they were shaken down. They were literally pulled, pockets turned inside out, book bags turned upside down. And if the children didn't cooperate, they were sent to SOS. And if they didn't want to go to SOS, they were suspended. You know, this VP, like I said, in order for him to post this flyer, he had to get permission from the administration. The VP has already suspended, kicked out several students since taking over this position in a month. And I went in on Thursday, there were 3 other parents along with myself waiting to see this one in particular individual. The administrative staff needs to set up definitely a parent meeting so that parents can be clear if there are changes or things that's gonna go on in the school. We need to be let known, not only call homes and just leave messages, but we need to come together in person. Also, before ending, if Ms. Wiggins can also provide me with a copy of the SOC new rules, I'll appreciate it. She can mail it to my home, drop it off to the school, but I need a copy of that.
Ms. Williamson, if you have copies of materials, can you get those to Martha Jones, even if you have copies with you? Well, the information about these claims about what happened to your son, because what I may do is ask Ms. Deering, it sounds like you've exhausted what you feel you can do at the meeting, or Ms. White to follow up and address whatever the facts are in your particular.
Ms. Williams, I would like for you to meet with the Regional Superintendent for the North Region, Dr. Miguel Hernandez, as you walk on the way back.
Okay.
And he will take your information and follow up on what you have testified here this evening.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Next speaker.
Donna Jackson.
Good evening, Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. Well, we at hell. You need to close Shabazz down, get rid of the entire administrative staff. You need to close Barringer down, get rid of the entire administrative staff. There's a couple of middle schools, close down, get tired of the entire administrative staff. Usually I come with my pink slips, I ain't had time to stop at Staples and get it. I'll have it at the next meeting. People need to be fired. These regional superintendents not doing their job. Need to fire them too. These schools are not reporting incidents that are going on that are serious. You got 1 rape out of Westside NAF Academy. It's been 5. You've had several at Shabazz. Openly having sex in the classroom. Nobody doing anything. And this ain't no allegation. It's happening. Get off your sorry butts, walk into schools and talk to the kids. They'll tell you what's going on. The principal at Shabazz sprayed with the fire extinguisher. Tell me why she's still working when she didn't suspend the kid that did that. When you allow a student to disrespect you like that, you lose control of your building. The security guard's telling the kids to do A, she's standing there, oh no, let them go back to class. We don't need no punks in Newark. Our kids need discipline. It ain't no different in Newark Public Schools than the charter school. The kids act up in there too. Only difference is y'all throw them out, Shavar. You throw them out of the charter school and send them back to us. And I'm saying that to you with love. Because I'm tired of people pitting charter against public. Then y'all want to claim charter is public. Oh, hell no, it ain't. It's private. Because y'all can do what y'all want to do with our money. See, no public schools money ain't on the stock market. Charter school money is. Now you're bringing all these Bloomberg people over here. Let me explain something to you. We done already got idiot number 1, idiot number 2, and idiot number 7, and then the new idiot down in Trenton to run the school system. We don't need no more here. So if y'all think for a minute that you're gonna keep a parent like myself away from the table in the selection process, this time you're sadly mistaken. I do not have confidence in anyone that's an advisory board member right now to pick the person that needs to come here that's going to give a damn about the kids. It ain't about the money. It ain't about the staff. It's about these children at some point getting something. Nobody is making any decision for these children. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. Every school out here now, God forbid, there's a fire as happened at George Washington Carver. These kids, the staff will not be able to get out of these buildings because you got icebergs around all of these schools. Now, I applaud the custodial staff. Some of them and our plowers, they did the best they could do. But if them kids had to leave out of one of these schools tomorrow, God forbid it, like they had to leave out of Carver, they're not going to be able to get out of it. And we're going to have somebody that's going to be left behind, somebody that's going to get their fall, and I'm going to help the family sue y'all.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. One thing I do want to say, because Ms. Jackson said many things, one thing she said that's extremely serious is she talked about unreported rapes of children in our schools. And if you have any evidence of that, you can, and if for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable reporting that to the district, you have my cell number. It could be anonymous. You get the evidence to us and we'll make sure it's investigated, right? Any claims of kids being hurt, kids being abused, raping of babies, you get that to us so we can do something about it. We're not going to tolerate that. So please get us that information. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And we do, and I will say this, we do visit the schools on a regular basis. I hit 2 schools each month myself. I know other board members do that too. So this suggestion that we're not out in the schools, we're not going to accept, right? We're regularly in these schools. We regularly work 50, 60 hours a week for these kids. So we're not going to accept that suggestion that we're not out there doing our jobs. So thank you. Next speaker.
Alicia Sly.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Okay. Call me so we can talk.
Wanna do next?
Next speaker.
Lucius Jones.
Next speaker.
Excuse me.
All right, Ms. Jackson, please, so we can hear from the other speakers here. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Valeria Canonis.
Thought I saw her.
I just said I did. She was shouting. Is she here? Is she? I don't know. I didn't hear it.
No, Alicia Sly. Maybe after Ms. Canona said it.
Good evening, board members. My name is Valerie Quinones. I live in the West Ward. I want to bring before the advisory board attention.
Well, that's what I told her.
Jeffrey, you the board advisory board president. I'm getting tired of the word in my community about you. The word between you, the mayor, and the governor, and the councilman of the West Ward. So you got the plan for the charter schools. Don't shake your head at me. You know it's the truth. Certain ones that sit up on that board had talked about Miss White and Dr. Cheney. They have done miracles. I was here when Eugene Campbell and Charlie Bell, disaster. We got somebody that do wonders. Between you, Cory Booker, Christie, yes, I read the paper, very good friends, and Ronald Rice, the son. You got plans for the charter school? Let me tell you something. Christie got plans too. Teachers, hear this. Everything that y'all talk about, it goes downtown to Trenton. You got your little snitch. Yes, I'm gonna call you a snitch. You letting them know every move that goes on in the city of Newark. Yeah, it hurts me too. Because our kids is getting malpractice of education behind the bull that you sending downtown. Like I say, what is your plan? A job? Oh yes, Marcus, I heard about you too. What is your plan? To get a job? That's why our people in the city of Newark can't get no daggone jobs. Y'all done took all the damn jobs from us, excuse me. I'm tired of it. You can cut it off. You wishing when the state come in, which they already been in since years, they're gonna bring the state police. All of you's gonna lose your jobs. All. That goes for Local 617. You already submit the names of teachers that you don't want in the system. So teachers, be aware, y'all about to lose your job too, and that ain't coming from Ms. White or Dr. Cheney. Your board, advisory board, he's telling them everything.
Thank you, Ms. Quinones. I wish we had as much influence as you think, Ms. I really do. I really do, to be honest with you. I really wish we were in the loop to the degree you suggest. But thank you,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Quinones, I wanna say first that I respect you with all my heart. But let me tell you something. I just want to say something, Ms. Keena. The reason why I don't have my job I had prior to this is because I'm sitting on this board.
Okay.
Ms. Quinones, please. Please, Ms. Quinones, we heard from you, Ms. Quinones. We need to get some order in here. Mr. Lewis, do you have anything left to say?
No.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lewis. Next speaker.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I did mention her name, but there was some commotion going on. Alicia Sly, is she here? Okay. Diana Kwamina?
Diana Kwamina, State of New Jersey. I am here to make some of you as uncomfortable as I can. There are some Jezebels sitting before me and surrounding throughout. We know that Jezebel was an actual person, but in today's world, Jezebel is not man or woman, but a controlling spirit. This message is for those of you that want credit, glory, recognition, and is power hungry. You may not realize that this is going to cost you your very souls. This demon is one of the most common spirits in operation today, both in churches and in this world. It is a powerful enemy of the body of God. The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despite wisdom and instructions. A fool is one who is victimized or made to appear foolish, lacking common power and understanding, choosing to use others in order to benefit yourselves. State District Superintendent Dr. Janey, you are an honorable man for not putting the district in harm's way. By stepping down with class, the love and leadership shown to our children's parents in the district will live on in the city of Newark for years and decades to come. Many will see and feel the loss of your greatness. Thank you for guiding our children to a new journey of educational activities by setting a high standards of education for them. You have been misjudged without a cause by many, because you did not play the game of corruption, meaning a favor for a favor, play to pay and pay to play. By saying, I am not for sale with no options to buy, lease, own, or rent. This is what made you outstanding out of the other state district superintendents that has been here. Dr. Janey, you are one of a kind. Chief of Staff, Ms. Sadia White, I must acknowledge the greatness of service that you have endured in our schools as well as some of your staff members. But I'm here to tell the snakes in the grass that was here feeding information to Cory Booker and to Christopher Christie. Welcome, charter schools, welcome. You will be out of a job. The Newark Teacher Education Association and the Newark Teacher Union, your empires are about to crumble brick by brick. Many of you will be left out looking for a job. Thanks for feeding the ingredients that was needed to Christopher Christie and Cory Anthony Booker. Now they are out for your jobs, and they will get them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Kwamina. That will conclude the public participation portion of the agenda. Does any board member have any old or new business they want to raise? Mr. Lewis.
I wanna address a few things before we conclude this meeting. I wanna first kill some rumors that have been plaguing the city of Newark community for the last week. As I walk up and down the city of Newark, as I write tickets, do my job, what I'm paid to do 9 to 5. Many residents have came up to me. Many leaders in the community have came up to me addressing these issues. One, saying that I am the leak on the board. I must make it clear, I am the leak on the board and that I work for Star Ledger. I want to make it clear to everybody here that Marquise and Quill Lewis don't get paid by Star Ledger. Star Ledger did not endorse Marquise and Quill Lewis. The people in the city of Newark elected Marquise and Quill Lewis, and that's all who I answer to. I'm a man of God, I'm a minister, and I don't have to answer to no master. I answer to nobody but God. So I want to make it clear to a few people that I'm not no leak. And another issue is that I play to the crowd. Another issue that's been brought to my attention. If you call addressing serious concerns of our residents who elect us to sit on this board, addressing them with dignity and with honor, and making sure that they are addressed in an execution-style manner, if you call that play to the crowd, a lot more of us need to play to the crowd. I believe that I have served 2 years with dignity. I have served with honor and so far as students of Newark Public Schools. So I want to kill all the rumors that have been going on, that I'm a leak, that I play to the crowd. Marquise Quill Lewis here to serve the 39,000 children that I serve in this district and their parents and them alone. Nobody owned me, nobody bought me, nobody could buy me because I am not for sale. So I just want that to be known. Also, I want to address what Ms. Q said here tonight when she said that I got 4 or 5 jobs. Well, if I have 4 or 5 jobs, I won't have to live paycheck to paycheck. I have 1 job that I had before I got on this board, and I still have the same job. So I just want people to be clear who Marquise Quill Lewis is, because I grew up in this city, I was raised in this city, I was educated in this city, and I did not come on here on no boat, I did not come over here on no plane when it come election time. I've been in this city, born in this city since December 1st, 1987. So I want to make it clear, plain and clear, that I'm here to serve this community in which I love and I was born and raised to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Ms. Spade?
Hi, Dr. Miller. Ms. Miller. I have a couple of questions in reference to Dr. Alma Flagg. I'm a parent at Dr. Alma Flagg. We had a budget meeting on last week in reference to the budget, and it was a couple of concerns that the parents had and myself had in reference to the VP. It had vacancy on there, and we was wondering when we was going to get another VP for Dr. Alma Flagg Elementary School. So I'm not sure what's the holdup with that.
Originally, I think that was the thinking, but due to enrollment, that didn't meet the ratio to have that extra one.
Okay, what's the ratio? What do it have to be? What's the numbers?
For this past year, for the current year that we are in, it was 2.
It's 1, I think, per 300. I don't have the numbers in front of me. That's where you start with the first VP, I think. And the second VP occurs somewhere around about maybe 4 or 5, I think 500. I can get you those numbers specifically.
Okay.
Okay. But that standard is being changed, and that position was cut at Flagg.
Okay, because the parents are really concerned. You know, the enrollment.
I understand, but we also have to, it is clear that last year we had a $77 million gap. This year, we will be dealing, as I will be discussing with you in the future, a significant budget issue again, especially if we receive cuts from the state. There will be adjustments in standards and formulae which are applied to how we staff our schools.
Okay, all right, thank you. And just one more issue. There was some parents here tonight. I believe they left. Last week, we had a delayed opening, and some of the school buses that came to pick the kids up, they came to regular time to pick the kids up. And when the kids arrived to the schools, it was maybe around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
the administration, nobody wouldn't let the kids into the building, so the kids had to actually stand outside the schools. And I called one of the schools, and I talked to, I'm not sure who I talked to in the building, but she said, well, she's not allowed to open the doors. And I said, well, you have kids standing outside the building. She said, well, it's against legal issues, and we can't let them in the building. I said, if something happened to them outside, you know, who is it going to be on? So I just want to know what protocol procedure do we have for the school buses that's bringing the kids to the school earlier than what they should be on a delayed opening day, because we're going to have some more snow days and we don't need this to occur again.
Ms. Spate?
Yes.
Our transportation contractors were notified of the delayed opening. I spoke to the transportation director at 5 a.m. that morning. Could you please provide me offline the schools which were affected?
Yes, ma'am.
And I will deal with the appropriate transportation contractors.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Jeffries.
Thank you, Ms. Spate. Mr. Lewis?
Can I just piggyback off Board Member Spate? She talked about the vacancy of Flag Elementary School, and I also brought that to the superintendent's attention about that vacancy, and they said the same thing about the formula, but I also provided them with some schools that have the same amount of kids as Flag that do have the extra VP in their schools. So if they can have an extra VP, why can't Flag have an extra VP?
Mr. Lewis, would you mind following up with Dr. Miller about those issues? If you can address those issues with her directly offline, and any concerns you have, please resolve with her. Any other old or new business that any board member has to raise? Do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, good night. Good night.
8:30.